How do you land a premier internship in finance in New York City? This picture right here is from the summer of 2015. It's August. I'm 20 years old. This is my roommate Parker, and we are about to start the very last day of our financial internships in downtown Manhattan, New York City. I was a financial analyst for Weill Cornell Medical College. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got the internship, what it paid, what I learned from it, and what it was actually like interning in New York, and also what it did for my career today at 25 years old and what I have to thank for that experience. In this channel, all we try to do is give authentic, real commentary for people who are new to investing or who are just kind of beginning and getting going in investing in their stage of life. And I think this is a really real subject here about getting internships or taking chances that applies to a lot of you guys as entrepreneurs and investors. So hopefully this story maybe gives you some inspiration, makes you think, or if you've got your own internship story that was pretty cool or just a unique experience, please share it below in the comments with me as well. And if you like and subscribe to the video if you enjoy the content this channel brings, that would mean a real lot to me. So let's get right into it. How the heck did I get this internship? Well, I don't have wealthy parents. I don't have parents who even work in finance, and goodness, they have absolutely no connections. So at 20 years old, having only started a landscaping business and worked at a nonprofit marketing internship so far in my life, I was kind of screwed in terms of being able to land a dream internship. But I knew since I had no established network, I had to go build my own network. And that was something I realized at 19 years old, that I needed to get out and get the ball rolling to give myself a chance to make something happen. So what I did was I went to my school's business office and I said, hey, if you've got any alumni who need anything or would even be good references or mentors to talk to, I'd really appreciate it if you kept me in mind, especially the next months as we're heading into summer. And months later, I got a call back from the internship office and said, hey, we've got a graduate who graduated in the year 2000. She was tasked with hiring all the interns this year, and she works in finance in New York City. Is that something you're interested in? I immediately told them yes, I was, and to provide me all the contact information, and I reached out within an hour. I had a prepared resume. I sent out my interest and said that if there's any more details I can provide for you, they're coming right away and right in at your convenience. Through that connection, I was able to get one of the interview slots they had lined up. I knew they had 2 positions open, and let me tell you about what an interview is like for a financial position in downtown New York. So first of all, you have to realize that all financial positions are not equal. Some are analyst positions looking at the stock market. Some work with big banks, big hedge funds, everything is big. But mine was still financial internship, but I was working for Cornell's Medical College in their Department of Finance. So not dealing necessarily with the markets themselves, but still considered a financial internship, still a really competitive internship and spot to get. But I had an inside track because I created my own network, and I had now a personal connection who had an affinity for me just because I went to the same school that they did years and years and years ago. So the first call I got in the internship was just a phone call, just to get to know me, just to see if I was well spoken, just to see if I could carry a conversation. The second was more serious. I sat down in a conference room. I was on a projector screen, I believe in their offices, on Skype. I wore a full suit, even though you could only see from about here up. I had pages and pages of notes around me, prompts, and little quotes that I wrote down on notebooks to get me going on some easy stories to tell or some potential answers. And what they were really looking for was just a breakdown of who I am, what my interests were, and what my experience was in the past. I got asked a few pretty common, how would you deal with this? What is your personality like questions? Are you a hard worker? Sort of roundabout ways to find out who I was, but no real analytical things. Again, maybe this isn't the story for everybody, especially if you're going for a hardcore stock market internship where you have to have a huge brain and you're able to crunch numbers really, really quickly. But Fortunately for me, because that's not my forte, I'm just a marketing guy. I was just a business major who did all right in school. I was able to work my way through that interview, was confident, and sold myself because I was prepared and they could tell that I wanted it badly. So what did I do? Well, I spent a ton of time in a small room as an intern. You're not going to get the cityscape view. Trust me, it doesn't matter where you work. You're going to be in the inside of a building, buried in the center on some random floor with a computer and a desk, and that's about it. I spent a ton of time on Excel. I drafted grant proposals for the financial department. If doctors wanted anything, I was the guy who purchased it. If they left and traveled the world or across the country, I was the guy who reimbursed them for their expenses. And I also charged them and tracked how much they spent and how much they owed the hospital for their time spent operating in different spaces. The doctors have to pay the hospital when they operate in certain rooms, and then they get paid either by their patients or by insurance coming back to them. So now you know what my job was. Let me tell you what it's actually like working in a hyper-competitive environment. The first thing you have to know is you have to work hard and you have to be on your game basically 24/7. Not all of the things that you're going to be given in your internship are going to be difficult, but you just mentally, you have to walk the walk. You have to look like you're on top of the ball no matter what it was. When you're an intern, you should probably dress pretty nicely, even if your coworkers don't, because they're the established ones and they're the ones judging you at the end of the day. So I was dress shirt and tie guy, even though a lot of people in the office just wore polos and the women were just kind of business casual. The other thing that you really have to know is you have to work hard. A story I'll never forget is my roommate Parker walked into our dorm room at about 10 o'clock in the evening getting home from work. I'd spent the whole day there and he was pumped. Everybody was freaking out in the hallways of the apartment building we lived in because there was just a new law passed that interns couldn't work more than 17 hours a day. And that was pretty common for people that I lived around. They would wake up and get into the office by 7 or 8, and they would be there until 9, 10, 10:30, 11. They'd get home, wake up, and do it all again. So you're going to get people who just kill themselves, and it's essentially a culture of you put in the time, you put in the grunt work, you're the lowest guy on the totem pole, you work until you can't work anymore, but then you get out in a few years and you have that on your resume, you have that in your background, and you can go anywhere with that so you'll never have to work those hours again. Finally, you have to recognize that you're going to be surrounded by a ton of smart and very talented people. Most everybody I worked with went to an Ivy League school or something extremely close to an Ivy League school, and they did extremely well in high school and college to get there. So very talented people around you. The next thing is it's going to be tough at some points. You will have expectations because if you didn't have expectations, it wouldn't be a competitive internship and they wouldn't actually be looking to hire pretty good, pretty talented people for the position. So they're going to ask you to do some stuff that's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, go into it with an open mind, go into it, be willing to ask questions, and recognize that you're not going to make or break the fate of the company. They're never going to ask an intern to do something that either they don't actually know how to do themselves or that it's not do or die for the entire firm if you can't do it. And sometimes you'll be able to do it and do a great job. Sometimes you're going to have no clue. You're going to have to admit you made a mistake, and it's all a learning experience. One of the things that I learned, one of the best lessons I learned that whole summer, and I made a ton of mistakes, is that there is not a single mistake that can't be fixed. All right, how much did I make? When I received the call telling me I got the internship, they also said at the very end of the conversation that I'll be paid $15 an hour for 35 hours a week. Well, if you do the math and you consider that my apartment, if you can call it that, was like a dorm room shared with another intern, my apartment cost $1,500 a month and food was ridiculously expensive. So I had no money left over, even making $15 an hour, which I thought was incredible for an intern and I was pumped about until I found out that all of that was spent on housing and food. Forget entertainment. I don't think I made a dime at the end of the summer, even though I was paid relatively well. for most people's expectations for an intern. Okay, finally, what did I learn from the internship and what did it do for my career right now at 25 years old? I learned a few things. One, not everybody is cut out to work in a small office with no windows and spend their whole day crunching numbers on Excel. That wasn't me, and it was probably the most valuable thing I learned for my career today. The second part was I got my job working currently where I do in athletics at a university because my current boss saw financial internship in New York. So the name recognition will carry you a really long way, and fair or not fair, it's what put me over a ton of candidates in future interviews that I did, just having that experience on my resume before they even talked to me. So guys, that's the story of the internship that I had in finance in downtown Manhattan. If you've got any questions or want to know more, please ask in the comments. I'll respond to every single one. Let me know if you want to hear more of this content. If not, I'll just stick to stocks and investing. But thanks for sticking around to the end. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.